Is pH control worth it in hydroponics? We've all heard the Hydroponics Gospel. pH must be between 5.5 and 6.5, or your plants are doomed. Textbooks, experts, everyone screams it. But here's the crazy thing. When I stopped controlling pH, my plants actually grew better. So today I'm putting two methods head to head. The set and forget growers who never touch pH, and the perfect control freaks who keep it locked at exactly 6. Which one actually wins? The results shocked me, and they might change the way you grow forever. In my last video, I shared a painful lesson about using vinegar as a cheap pH down solution. Spoiler alert, it was a disaster. Plants got slimy roots, wilted, and eventually died. If you haven't watched that one, don't miss it. It's a really important lesson about why, if you are going to control pH, you should never cut corners. Sometimes the money you think you're saving ends up costing you everything. Although my vinegar experiment ended in disaster by day 3, I didn't give up. The battle between the set and forget group and the perfect control group continued. And today, it's time to reveal the million-dollar question. Does strict pH adjustment really help your plants grow better? Or is it just a waste of effort? Let's find out in this follow-up experiment. Here's the thing. Textbooks and experts always say the golden zone for hydroponics is 5.5 to 6.5. The theory is clear. Outside that range, nutrient uptake gets blocked, growth slows down, and plants suffer. Sounds convincing, right? So I ask myself, if I treat my home system like a laboratory, if I carefully adjust and maintain the perfect pH, will my harvest actually be better? Because here's the reality. I've been running MasterBlend's 3-part combo for a long time without adjustments. I water often drifts to 7, sometimes even 8 if I leave it for a while. And honestly, plants still look fine most of the time. That always left me with a big question mark. So this time I went all in. I set up a proper experiment, 4 different groups, all started at the exact same time, under the same light, using the same FreeBonde smart grower with the same nutrients. The only difference, the type of pH adjustment. And to make it fair, the machines automatically dose the solution whenever it drifted. No human bias, no excuses. But so what does this mean for you, the home grower? Should you spend money on pH meters, dosing pumps, acids, and all the extra work? Or can you just sit back and relax, trust your plants, and still get great results? That's exactly what I'm going to break down in this video. And remember, this is just a small-scale test. In large greenhouses, precise pH control is absolutely essential. But at home, the answer might surprise you. So grab a coffee, hit that like button, and let's dive into the experiment. By the way, if you haven't seen my full fertilizer comparison where I tested 4 different hydroponic nutrients, make sure to check that out. That video explains why I often use the MasterBlend 3-part combo in these experiments, and it will give you more context for what you're about to see. Originally, I designed 4 groups. Top left, the underdog, vinegar plus MasterBlend solution, already eliminated early. Bottom left, the perfect control, MasterBlend plus commercial pH down solution, keeping pH locked at exactly 6. Top right, set and forget, MasterBlend only, no pH adjustments. Bottom right, set and forget, same as above, a repeat control for fairness. Since the vinegar group failed quickly, what remained was 1 perfect control group versus 2 set and forget groups. All plants were grown side by side in identical FreeBonde machines under the same lights with the same nutrients. The only difference, whether pH was constantly adjusted to 6 or simply left alone. Day by day, I watched the plants, and wow, the set and forget plants were growing faster, greener, fuller. But I didn't just rely on my eyes. I ran AI image analysis to measure plant growth objectively. As the weeks went on, the gap widened. The perfect control plant stayed modest in size, while the set and forget cilantro and lettuce became lush and dense. Late stage, the difference was striking. The set and forget groups produced thick, dark green cilantro and big, vibrant lettuce heads. The perfect control group? Noticeably smaller, with sparse leaves and weaker overall growth. So here's the big reveal. When I pulled the plants out, boom, the difference was impossible to miss. The set and forget plants, the ones where I didn't touch the pH at all, were just bigger. The lettuce was fuller, the broccoli had stronger stems, and even the cilantro looked bushier and more alive. Now compare that to the so-called perfect control group, where I had pH meters and dosing pumps kept the pH at exactly 6.0. Those plants were smaller, the leaves were thinner, and the roots just didn't have that same vigor.
Now, let's take a look at the exported data. One of the biggest advantages of using real-time monitoring devices is that you can see all the historical numbers laid out clearly, instead of just guessing. First, let's look at the two set and forget groups. Even though their pH sometimes drifted above the so-called optimal comfort zone of 5.5 to 6.5, the deviation was small. It didn't actually block nutrient absorption in a meaningful way. Now, compare that to the perfect control group, where pH was carefully adjusted to always stay inside the textbook range. On paper, this looks ideal. But here's the problem. The reservoir was under 7 liters. Every time the system added just a little bit of pH down solution, it wasn't only changing the acidity, it was also diluting the nutrients. That's why you can see the EC values steadily dropping over time. Please note, 7-liter reservoir is already considered luxury in table hydroponic machines. Yes, the pH was perfect for absorption, but the plants were running low on nutrients overall. And there's one more issue. Notice how the pH curve in the perfect control group is much steeper, with sudden ups and downs. That tells us a small water volume couldn't buffer against chemical inputs. Each adjustment caused a dramatic swing. For plants, that kind of turbulence is stressful and unstable. So in the end, the data is very clear. Keeping pH perfectly controlled in a small reservoir looks good in theory, but in practice, it leads to nutrient dilution and unstable conditions. Meanwhile, the set and forget approach, though less precise, turned out to provide a steadier and healthier balance. In short, sometimes set and forget is not only easier, it's better. So if you're growing at home, don't panic if your nutrient solution drifts toward pH 7. As long as your roots are healthy and your nutrients balanced, your plants may actually prefer the freedom. Of course, this doesn't mean pH never matters. In commercial farming, strict control is critical. But for small-scale growers like you and me, it might not be worth the stress. And here's where I'd love your input. Do you have other scientific myths or common rules in hydroponics that you'd like me to test? Drop your ideas in the comments, because in the end, experiments are the only way to find the truth. This experiment blew my own assumptions out of the water, and that's exactly why I run these tests. Theory is nice, but reality is what counts in your kitchen, balcony, or home grower. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit like, subscribe, and share your own hydroponics experiences below. We are FreeBonde, helping you grow fresh, delicious vegetables right where you live. See you in the next experiment.